Hello, and I'm Brian Foster, and today we're going to talk about another verse in the New Testament, Mark chapter 4, verse 35 to 41. Jesus calms a storm. First, please subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button so we can spread Spiritism far and wide so people can understand what kind of world you really live in. Why do you go through the trials you go through? Once you understand that we are who we are, we're immortal souls who live life after life, it becomes a lot more clear. Let's get into this. Now I'll read Mark chapter 4, verse 35 to 41. On the same day when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." Now when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat as he was, and other little boats were also with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on a pillow. And they awoke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Then he arose and rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" And they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, "Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Now, many who read this will just know that Jesus had immense spiritual power to actually calm a storm. Others, such as I, when I was younger, thought, here's another exaggeration. It didn't really happen. After all, who can just stop a storm? And this is a typical pattern of how we think. We are upon earth, and we must play by its rules. But what happens when a game master, an administrator, who really understands the rules of the physical universe and how it is just a subset of the spirit universe, knows how to play and manipulate the game, the board? First, let me give you an analogy. Imagine playing a role-playing game, and you are locked into a certain scenario where you keep losing. But now you are given a hack, the ability to directly manipulate the database, which controls your opponent. You reach into the table of rules and render your opponent to be ineffective. To the characters in the game, a miracle occurred, but in reality, you just manipulated the rules and processes in your favor. Christ, with his knowledge, commanded the storm to halt. Now, he isn't just any old player. He is the commander of the game, which has the earth under its sphere of control. More, when Christ orders his army of spirits under his command and under the direct command of his ministers, react immediately to his directives. Since we on earth are in a very sophisticated simulation designed to improve our character, the atmosphere can be changed instantaneously. This can explain many strange sightings, Roman armies marching, and this happened when they were digging a tunnel at one of the London subways. The people working on the tunnel all of a sudden saw, going through the tunnel, the Roman army marching through in perfect order. And they looked at this. And the funny thing is when they told their sightings to historians, they spotted many little details of equipment on the Roman soldiers that these people who had not read, Roman history at all would not know. How can that happen? Well, let's talk about psychometry for a second. Now, psychometry is when people can touch objects and they can see the scenes that those objects have been in the presence of. And this is how our complex world works, is that each part that is here, let's say a rock or a keychain, when they actually absorb the scenes and the happenings around them, they put that in their little own memory. And therefore, someone touching that keychain or that ring can see the scenes that have happened around him. That's all part of the very intricate way data is stored, retrieved. It's stored in multiple areas for multiple points of view. That is why in NDEs, people can have their whole life reviewed. Not only what they were thinking, but what people around them were thinking, because data is stored everywhere. So these people who were creating this tunnel, they must have somehow unleashed this psychometry of the earth around them. And then the images of that Roman legion marching through became to them real. Once you free yourself of thinking you are a physical animal and instead realize you are a logical construct with the ability to roam an interactive and dense informational structure, then your life becomes full of possibilities. Since you are immortal and will play here on Earth or other planets according to your spiritual maturity. So now you know why Christ could calm the storm. He commanded it so. He changed the rules of the game. Right now, when he was in the boat, there was a great wind and the waves were washing against the boat, filling it with water, scaring all the disciples. He commanded the scenario of the wind and the waves to make the waves calm, put a new process, make the waves calm, and stop the wind. And the informational structure reacted to his commands, or the commands of the spirits that he gave commands to, and the atmosphere changed, just as you would be playing a video game and you went from one scene to another. You went from one place to another, and the atmosphere environment changed upon your command. That is how these things work. Isn't it fascinating once you understand that you are in this you have so much more power than you know of when you go back to the spirit world. In the physical world, we're like horses with blinders because we're here to learn. We're here to change our character, and therefore we're not allowed to really do much. We're here more actually to have stimuli hit us and make us introspect and analyze our lives and decide how we need to improve. But in the spirit world, we are powerful creatures, depending on how high and how high we ascended in our spiritual maturity and our knowledge of the processes of the spirit world. We can create worlds, we can lead races and cultures of other planets. We are destined to become productive members of spirit society someday. Now, if this interests you, please read my series of 3 books, Heaven and Below, which talks about heaven and Jesus Christ in heaven and the areas below heaven, and Spirits and the Spirit Attributes, what we are as a spirit, who we really are, how we grow, how we are unique. And my 3rd book is How We Are Guided on Earth, on how we each have a guardian angel, even on Earth and in the spirit world, and how whole countries are guided and cultures are guided for us as a collective to improve one day so we can all become and live on a planet of regeneration and become a perfect spirit. God bless.